I rarely see things that flabbergast me. Like, I'm a black man in America, even though I use words like flabbergasted. But some shit just like it defies belief. So, just to recap the last month, we've had an upsurge in public support for a violent manifestation of class struggle. Okay, we've had the CEO of one of the most despised and hated companies in the United States, if not the world, get shot to death on a busy New York City street. And instead of circling the wagons and expressing crocodile tear outrage for this man that was murdered, was it really a murder? What happens when you murder? What do you call it when you murder a social murderer? I don't know. I would call it justice. I would call it revolutionary vengeance on behalf of the people, even if the alleged suspect, Luigi Mangione, is not a revolutionary. He still committed a revolutionary act, an act that many of our so called revolutionaries would poo poo were it done by somebody that doesn't read the books they read. Anyway, so in this context, the context where a man accused of exercising revolutionary corrective violence against a CEO of a horrible company, you have this. You have Jeff Bezos marrying Lauren Sanchez this Christmas, and this is apparently going to be one of the most expensive and lavish weddings in human history. More expensive than the weddings of the shahs and pharaohs and emperors of old. This wedding is apparently going to cost $600 million. Not 60 million, not 6 million. $600 million. So this is from a website called The Knot, which is apparently oriented around planning weddings that are more expensive than you and your entire line of descendants can ever hope to participate in. So, what do we know about Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos' wedding? He's getting married over Christmas, and his fiance had an appearance on the Today Show last month, and all she could say was that she's excited about it. Okay, what bride would not be excited about her wedding to the second, third, I don't know, richest man in the world? She's worried about her dress, which will apparently be one of the most expensive dresses ever made. So, the guest list will include people such as Bill Gates, Queen Rania of Jordan, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Kris Jenner. Jeff Bezos owns a $500 million yacht. $500 million yacht. For context, the city of San Francisco has said that they could end homelessness with $900 million. So instead of ending homelessness in San Francisco, Jeff Bezos has chosen to have a $600 million. Like that amount of money being spent on a one off event. It we live in a new Gilded Age. If you're familiar with the original Gilded Age, they called it that because if you know anything about jewelry, gilding basically means you take a shiny gold or silver, no, a shiny gold veneer and you put that over something that is cheap, something that sucks, something like iron or steel or something like that, something that's not expensive. Okay, so even though it's glittery and shiny and nice on the outside, The rich are always being vampires. Even though it looks nice on the outside, inside it's rotten. It's bad. You just put a shiny veneer over it to make it look good. That's what this farce is. You cannot cover up class struggle by providing, like, the monarchs of old used to do this. Like, they would throw a big feast once a year and let all the peasants come eat the scraps. Okay, that shit doesn't work on people, just like it didn't work then. You feed people scraps one month, then next month they've got your head on a pike. So the rich obviously are not stupid people. Okay, they're very callous people, they're very evil people, but they're not stupid. Stupid people do not acquire net worths in the hundreds of billions of dollars. What these people are is simply evil, simply callous. They simply do not care about what's going on. Amazon has a strike going on right now. And you choose to respond to that strike by with this. And again, our enemies are not stupid. Our enemies are evil. Does this mean that revolutionaries have to be evil? No. It does mean that when it comes to dealing with our enemies, we have to be, we cannot have any sentimentality towards these people. Yes, they are human beings, but they're very evil human beings. Evil human beings that knowingly and willingly make hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people suffer. This man who forces his workers to urinate in gas station cups is holding a $600 million wedding. $600 is what the average proletarian wedding costs. Like, those of you who are married, like, how much is your wedding cost? Hell, your average proletarian doesn't even have all of that shit. They can't afford it. They have a courthouse wedding. They go down, they sign the paperwork, they get their picture taken, whoop de fucking do. And this man is doing this. $600 million wedding. For what? Bragging rights? To say that he gave his fiance a $2.5 million rare pink diamond engagement ring. This man has a net worth of $246.1 billion. He's going to rent out a large property for the occasion to keep people from coming to put his head on the spike. And this is not the first time that this has been done. You've had $1 billion wedding. So this is not even the most expensive wedding. You've had Kajia Uzakov's and Syed Gutseriev's wedding, which was $1 billion. You've had Anant Ambani and Radhika Marchand's wedding, $600 million. Isha Ambani and Anand Petermal, $100 million. All of this, these are a lot of Indian and Slavic type names on here, Central Asian names. So these people who are from countries that live under the most grinding poverty, this is why revolutions happen. This is why revolutions happen. So, Uzakova and Gutseriev, okay, these are Russian oil heirs. Okay, and of course it was paid for by the groom's father, Mikhail Gutseriev. So, after the collapse of the USSR, you had a bunch of people, basically oligarchs, people who were tied to organized crime and the Soviet Union. They ended up taking over the country and basically turning the country into a kleptocracy, which is, it basically means the people who steal the most get to run the country. So under that bellowing alcoholic Yeltsin, you had people like Gutseriev who privatized the state property and accumulated massive amounts of wealth. So what happened at this wedding? The couple's loved ones were transported to a restaurant venue in an entourage of Lux Bentleys. Upon their arrival, they were met with elaborate displays of fresh flowers covering the space from floor to ceiling. The bride wore a custom Elie Saab wedding dress covered in ornate beading, which reportedly weighed 28 pounds. During the reception, the newlyweds sliced into a 9-foot wedding cake, which towered over the attendees. How big was your wedding cake? As for the entertainment, Jennifer Lopez, Enrique Iglesias, and Sting all performed during the mind-boggling festivities. The cost to have J-Lo alone is believed to hover around $1 million per hour for private events. So none of the people in my chat, none of the people who watch me will ever touch $1 million. Even people who consider millionaires, people who have net worths of $2, $3 million, they're not going to spend $1 million an hour to hang out with J Lo. Then you had fireworks. Then you had custom jeweled boxes as favors. Who else? Okay, you had the billionaire son of Nita Ambani and Reliance Industries conglomerate chairman Mukesh Ambani, also known as the richest man in India and one of the top 10 richest people in the world. You also had Merchant, who is Viren Merchant, the CEO of Encore Healthcare Private Limited Corporation, and Shyla Merchant. The Ambani wedding celebration actually spanned 7 months, 7-month long wedding, and included an engagement ceremony, a week-long engagement party, an 800-person Mediterranean cruise, a Sangeet, and a 3-day wedding extravaganza. Stars like Justin Bieber, Rihanna, and Katy Perry gave private performances for various events that were attended by dignitaries, politicians, A-list celebrities, Bollywood stars, and tech tycoons. There truly was no detail spared for the spectacular celebration, which is estimated to have cost about $600 million. And again, like just the amount of waste, the amount of it boggles the fucking mind. Like I am rarely at a loss for words, but I'm at a loss for words. Like, why would you do this during during one of the sharpest upsurges of class struggle this decade? So now you've got another $600 million waste of fucking money. I mean, yeah, all of the people that work this thing, they're gonna get paid pretty um get paid pretty handsomely, but it's just sickening. It's disgusting. It's sickening. It's decadent. Shit like this only happens in countries that are not long for this world. Meanwhile, back in the real world, you have a strike at Amazon. Why? Let's see.
For more than 2 years at our facility, JFK in Staten Island, Amazon has been refusing to come to the table, negotiate a strong union contract with the workers. This is obviously in violation of federal law. Now across the country, they have this same obligation with bargaining units, over 20 of them across 10 states.
So you've got this guy. Why can Jeff Bezos afford to have a $600 million wedding? Because he is a practitioner of cutthroat labor practices, an expert, a master of union busting, and the dude is basically a modern day Gilded Age tycoon. The only way you can accumulate that type of immense wealth is through fucking over your workers. All bosses exploit their workers. Okay, like that's literally the ABCs of capitalism. The only way you get rich, like rich in this country, like a mover and a shaker, Jewish comrades would call them machers. The only way you get to be that rich in this country is through horrible exploitation. Of course, there are exceptions. There are, of course, exceptions. Like you have ball players. Many cases, exist of professional sports players joining the whole bourgeoisie, the haute bourgeoisie. But sports players are exploited, like the people that own their teams. Like anytime you look at the draft, like they're literally talking about buying and selling and trading black men, like slavery is still a thing. These are basically highly paid performers, highly paid minstrels, they would call them back in the day. Like every time I see stuff like this, it reminds me of the Mandingo fights from Django Unchained. And again, I begrudge no brother that engages in professional sports, that is a professional entertainer. But like, those are exceptions. Most of the people who are very rich in this country got that way through exploiting working class people. That's simply how it is. J.P. Morgan, he made his fortune by selling shitty guns to the Union Army in the Civil War. Okay? Behind every great fortune, there is a great crime. Go Ravens. I'm more of a 49ers guy myself. It has to do with being gay. San Francisco. Anyways, let's see what Comrade Connor has to say.
States. We are all joined together as part of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters National Amazon Division, and we're engaging in a coordinated action to try to put the pressure on Amazon, stop breaking the law, come to the table. This is an unfair labor practice strike over their refusal to bargain.
And can you talk more about the significance of this large?
Yeah, I pulled up about J.P. Morgan. So he purchased a substitute soldier. So if you didn't want to fight a civil war and you had enough money, what you could do was you could literally buy somebody else who would help fight your war for you. You could literally purchase somebody, just like they were buying just like down south, they were buying and selling literal motherfuckers. Like you could literally purchase somebody else to go get shot at on your behalf. So you had the Hall Carbine affair, which was when Morgan financed the purchase of 5,000 surplus rifles at $3.50 each. He then sold these back to the government for $22 each, so he was ripping off his own government. The Confederates were probably very happy. These rifles were defective and blew off soldiers' thumbs. Morgan was cleared of all charges after bribery, claiming ignorance of the poor quality of the guns. Yeah. So that's how he made his first little money. By blowing off the thumbs of the Grand Army of the Republic.
Largest strike against Amazon in history.
Well, in the U.S., there hasn't been large coordinated action like this. And actually, I do want to comment on the point Amazon is trying to make that this is somehow just an outsider action. You can go to any one of these picket lines where the workers have walked off the job and see that's not the case. Last time I was on the show, I talked about how Amazon has 150% turnover in their warehouses nationwide. Something like this, organized on this scale, has to be internal, has to be worker to worker. It has to come from the inside.
Really glad that Profound Bandit brought this up. Also worth mentioning that people who are billionaires like Rihanna and Beyonce, for example, even though they're primarily known for being entertainers, they still own companies who exploit child labor and exploit workers in general. Yeah, there's a very, very good cartoon about portraying Beyonce whipping an employee in Sri Lanka. And the subtitle is Who Run the World? So yeah, who run the world? The bourgeoisie. We will not see any relief until the working class runs the world.
Idea that this could be done by outsiders is just ridiculous on Amazon's part. It's really a narrative I think they want to push so that other workers who are not yet organizing don't see this and become inspired that they can also fight to change their conditions.
So yeah, union busting and trying to turn people, like that's one of the major union busting tactics that they use. They will they'll tell you, oh yeah, these people they're paid to stir up shit. If the company's been good to you, we'll pay you more if you like. They're very, very good at divide and rule. That's their tactic. That's been what they've done since the Roman Empire. To stay on top, they need their enemies. They need their enemies scattered and divided. If you read Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, he talks about that. And no, I am not like being like, hey, we should internalize everything that Robert Greene says, because yes, many of his books are basically manuals on how to manipulate people. But it's really, really good to see like the bourgeoisie love his books, because like that's how they are. That's how they behave. That's how they are towards each other. That's how they are towards us. So while Jeff Bezos is getting ready for his $600 million wedding, Amazon is flooding out striking workers with nasty raw sewage and water. It was 24 degrees on the picket line in New York today. 24 degrees, and this is how you treat people. Did it stifle the resolve of the working class? No, because the working class cannot be defeated by stinky trash and water. Yeah, like watching that, my immediate thought was, this is basically the same thing that they did to civil rights demonstrators and organizers during the Birmingham and Montgomery protests. Like they would literally just turn high high velocity fire hoses on you. Shit that would strip the skin off you. If the shit went in your eyes, you would go blind. Hey, PSL out. They always, it's very, very easy to identify PSL. They love black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I don't know why. Personally, as a Maoist, my house colors are red and white, but I guess black and yellow does appeal to a certain crowd. Shout out to the drum line. So, at Amazon's JFK 8 fulfillment center on Staten Island, strikers included workers with disabilities. Here's a beautiful moment that warmed my heart because it offers a lesson in a broad class politics rooted in the everyday language of solidarity.
E-A-T-R-I-C-C-K. Right, that's my name, Patrick, right? Right, Patrick, right? Thank you, right? This is important because part of workers' rights is that there are people with disabilities, right? Who have vision impairment, hearing.
This is really, really good because, like, every time I see a lot of so-called leftist chuds, aka like Pat Sucks and MAGAcoms, like they're constantly using ableist slurs towards people, calling them the R word especially, and people with developmental disabilities and physical disabilities, like they're part of the working class too. Okay, like people think that developmentally disabled or disabled people in general are like they think that they're just lumped living off SSI, and honestly there's really nothing wrong with that. But no, like your coworkers, your class siblings are going to have a variety of disabilities, of disabling conditions, and people do not understand how easy it is to end up disabled. Like literally to get back and forth to work or to whatever organizing events that we need to go to, like we pile into several ton contraptions made out of plastic and steel, and then we hop on the highway with hundreds of other several ton contraptions made of plastic and steel, and sometimes those contraptions bang into each other and cause injuries. So yeah, all it takes is one asshole being drunk, or one asshole playing on his phone, or one asshole, I don't know, yelling at his kid or whatever, and bing bang boom, now you've got to lose a leg, or a shard of glass went through your eye blinding you, or a lot of ways to get fucked up in a car wreck, a lot of ways to get fucked up on the job, a lot of ways to get fucked up in this country in general. America is an extremely dangerous country to live in, especially if Trump does what he wants to do, and like he guts all of our safety standards and OSHA protections. Like he's going to cut all of that shit. That's what he has established that he wants to do. It's also ironic how people like Yankee Tanky dump on Sir. Why do you all keep calling this bastard up? And yet the dude doesn't have a job and he begs for cigarettes online. I mean, it would be fine. Like, I really don't care what people do. As long as you aren't fucking sanctimonious, as long as you don't act that your shit don't stink. Act like your shit don't stink. Like, he also has a severe MRSA infection. Like, bruh, don't you have better things to do with your life? Like, why aren't you focused on getting your life together? And you just, instead of hopping from cult to cult, like, what is wrong with you? And you can tell the quality of people that join these organizations. These are the only organizations that would have them. These cults are looking for warm bodies, so of course they're going to go out and join stupid shit like Caleb Maupin's outfit or ACP or whatever. No other organization would have them. They spend their entire lives online. They rarely read. They are generally mean and nasty people towards those who are trying to, like, they're not high quality people. So of course they're going to join shitty organizations like that. E-begging for cigarettes on the internet. Like, why would I give you money? Why would I give you money to buy cigarettes? Like, what have you, bro?
Impairment, physical impairment, and often as workers we forget that there's a diversity, right? Not just
The Teamsters strike against Amazon. You should follow Louis Felice Leon, by the way, even though he's a freelance bohemian. The Teamsters strike against Amazon has signaled to other workers that there is a nationwide movement. These are minority strikes, no doubt. The true test will be what kind of worker organization they build. Here's a delivery station worker on Staten Island speaking to that point. And note that most of these workers that you're seeing are young and they're black or Latino. Like the notion of the working class in the United States being almost all beefy, brawny white men that look like they're out of socialist realist statues or something, that's a myth. It's unfortunately a myth that's very predominant on the left.
At the ones that they're, but as soon as I see you guys come out here, I'm like, whoa, like this is real at this point, like this is really happening. So I feel like, you know, like you guys are definitely gonna make a lot of change. If not in the next 30 days, then I feel like the next couple of weeks. Because this is blowing up. It's gonna be all over social media. At the ones that they're, but as soon as I see you guys come out here, I'm like, whoa, like this is real.
This also shows like how you can use social media. Like a lot of people are down on social media. I mean, yeah, it can be used for good or it can be used for evil. It can be used for good shit or it can be used for stupid shit. So you've got the KSBD Air Hub on the West Coast that has joined the strike against Amazon. San Bernardino workers put pressure on $2 trillion corporation to recognize the union. On Saturday at 12 p.m. noon Pacific Standard Time, Amazon Teamsters at the KSBD Air Hub in San Bernardino joined their co-workers on strike against the corporation's relentless greed. Thousands of Teamsters are striking at DBK4 and JFK8 in New York City, DGT8 in Atlanta, DFX4, DAX5, and DAX8 in Southern California, DCK6 in San Francisco, and DIL7 in Skokie, Illinois, in addition to picketing at hundreds of Amazon facilities across the country. Amazon forced its workers to strike by illegally refusing to negotiate for a labor agreement. The corporation has ignored repeated demands to bargain for a contract. These workers have the courage to face down a giant and the conviction to demand what they've rightfully earned. No matter how hard Amazon tries to hold them down, our members' spirits are strong and will never be broken, said Teamsters General President Sean M. O'Brien. The Teamsters Union represents nearly 10,000 Amazon workers at 10 warehouses and delivery stations. Even though Amazon is worth $2 trillion, workers are forced to work for low wages and unsafe working conditions. Those low wages and unsafe working conditions, that's why Amazon is worth $2 trillion. The more they can fuck you over, the more money they make. It's only through fucking over thousands upon thousands, 10,000 workers at Amazon are represented by the Teamsters Union. It's only by fucking over tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of workers that Jeff Bezos can afford to have a $600 million stupid-ass wedding. We don't want to be on this picket line this close to the holidays, but Amazon left us no other option, said Aidan Hewitt, a worker at KSBD. Amazon has shown time and again that they will not improve how they treat us unless we fight. KSBD is Amazon's largest air hub on the West Coast. Over 1,000 workers from the facility have unionized with the Teamsters. We know how vital our facility is to Amazon, said Tobias Ching, a worker at the air hub. For how much we do for this company, we deserve higher pay, better benefits, and safer work conditions. I fully agree. So if there's opportunity to provide strike support for Amazon in your area, you should go help. Get off the internet. Quit engaging in positional warfare against other leftists and go out and make some friends on the picket line and start organizing. That's how you do it. And do I hope somebody crashes Jeff Bezos's vanity wedding? I definitely do. That's all I'm going to say about that. Free Luigi.